Wednesday morning. We've been clamoring for the Jets to add a quarterback. You have to bring somebody in. You got to bring somebody in because Zach Wilson can't play the position. What if he gets hurt? You have Tim Boyle there. Doesn't look like they're going to play Tim Boyle. Well, I guess the Jets answered that question yesterday by bringing in Trevor Siemian and making him a practice squad guy. He was here before. He started, I think it was the Browns, where he ended up getting absolutely crushed on a Thursday night game and didn't play very much after that for the Jets. He has bounced around. He had a little bit of, I guess, good part of his career with the Broncos after he took over for Peyton Manning. But, I mean, Trevor Siemian isn't the guy that I expected them to go out and get. I really thought that they were going to look into Carson Wentz, like you were saying, and maybe he could come in and turn things around. But they did bring in a quarterback. I don't know if he'll ever start. I don't know if we'll see the field. But they brought somebody in, which is what we were yelling about. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning there, G. I think probably brought him in simply because he's probably familiar with Hackett's system, that kind of thing. And, he hasn't really done much in his career, but he is a guy that certainly, if he was called upon, which I don't think he will be called upon anytime shortly unless Zach gets hurt, he's gone on the practice squad. So I don't think he's not going to be active for the 53-man roster, at least this week. But again, at least they're bringing somebody in and trying to get somebody up to speed. I would think that he'll try to immerse himself pretty quickly in the game plans and in their system, the way that they run it. So it is a quarterback. It is somebody. It's somebody with experience. So I this is what they're doing. I think they're doing it mainly not because of ineffectiveness of Zach. I think there's a realistic situation where if Zach gets hurt, then what? I mean, you got to have somebody that if he's not playing, at least can back up Tim Boyle.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't have only two. I don't believe you can have two guys in the roster, even if you have them on the practice squad. I mean, it's just and remember if they have a third quarterback active for the game, he has to be on the active roster. He can't be on the practice squad. So I don't see him being elevated unless they have an idea that they're going to elevate him. But I would think that he is going to be kind of mired in just trying to get up to speed with everything that's going on around here.
Yeah, and it seems to me this is further evidence that they are going to go down with Zach Wilson. Now, you say, what could they do that would be better than this? We've talked about it for weeks. Bringing Carson Wentz would be better. Actually working out Matt Ryan would be better. Trying to make a trade, or at least hearing that they tried to make a trade for somebody, or at least made some calls, if there was some reporting on that, to bring in someone that could start in a few weeks if they were hanging around. Like, all those things could have happened that were better than Trevor Siemian. This was a move to me, bringing in Trevor Siemian, who didn't even make the Bengals roster as the backup, got beat out by Jake Browning, who's never completed a pass in the NFL. This was further evidence that the Jet ship is going to go down with Captain Zach Wilson at the helm, and we're all going to drown, and we're going to watch him do this again, Doc.
At the present moment, I would say yes, but things change in the NFL relatively quickly, as you know. I'm not sure, why you would go with Jake Browning over Trevor Siemian unless you see something in practice. Could be a money thing. You never know why somebody like Trevor gets moved around as much as he does. You remember Chase Daniels?
Of course,
another guy that would get moved around. Chad Henne would get moved around. Blaine Gabbert gets moved around. There's this collective group of quarterbacks. Andy Dalton's now a part of this. Sam Darnold's a part of this. Mm-hmm. Baker Mayfield's a part of this. There's a collective group of quarterbacks that end up moving around. And I at one point in my career, I was one of those guys. So I don't know why certain teams do what they do in terms of keeping who they have kept, and whether or not a guy has any experience doesn't seem to matter in this league.
Yeah, I mean, also, too, you think about upside. Like, Trevor Siemian is going to be what he's been for his entire career, which is a serviceable enough player to make a start and maybe keep you in a game. I think he's starting at the Jets last year as a member of the Bears, didn't he? Siemian? I think Siemian started with the Bears last year in a Mike White game. And Siemian, I'm pretty sure I'm having this memory now. I probably should have looked this up before I came in here. But I remember him going right down the field early on in that game and looking really good. And then the Jets came back with Mike White, and they won that game, and it was a big deal. But
let's see, 31-10, the Jets won that game.
Yeah.
And it was at Chicago, right?
Right. And that was a Mike White game. And I'm pretty sure it was 7-0 Chicago. And then they ended up outscoring them 31-3.
No, it was 7-3, the Jets.
It was 7-3, okay. But they scored the first touchdown.
Trevor Siemian did play for Chicago, 14-25, 179, 1 TD, 1 interception.
Yeah.
Mike White, 22 of 28, 315 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. And Mike White, let go.
I swear to God, I don't even remember that game.
Yeah, no,
that was where the Jets got to 7-4.
Yep. But then everything went to hell after that. That's probably why you don't remember it. Right, because all the bad stuff that happened after that game.
Garrett Wilson, 5 receptions, 95 yards, 2 touchdowns.
I mean, the Bears were terrible.
Yes, they still are.
Yeah. But, yeah, they went in there and they kicked their ass with Mike White.
Zonovan Knight, 14 carries, 69 yards. I mean, Ty Johnson, 5 carries, 62 yards.
So think about that. So Mike White, who
they had 158 yards rushing that night, by the way.
So they could not wait to get rid of Mike White because that was going to be a problem for Zach Wilson. Now he's backing up the best offense in football, even gotten a blowout game. And the Jets now are plucking the guy that they beat with Mike White. They blew out last year with Mike White and putting him on the team to kind of stop the bleeding. I mean, the
Jets had 466 yards of offense against that terrible Bears team. 466 yards. Well, I mean, I don't even remember that damn game.
Yeah, you couldn't have effed this thing up worse than what they did with waiting last year to pull Zach Wilson, to starting with Joe Flacco instead of Mike White, to coming back with Zach Wilson as the backup. And I understand nobody wanted Aaron Rodgers to get hurt or thought he was going to get hurt, but there were so many other opportunities that they could have had to have better quarterback play other than Zach Wilson if they had just bailed on it when they were supposed to bail on it, and they haven't.
Yeah, so if you remember last year, they lost that home game to New England 22-17. That was the phantom roughing the passer game. There should have been a pick 6 there against New England, for the Jets, and it didn't happen. Then they play Buffalo at home. They win that game 20-17, much like they won the game against Buffalo opening week this year. Then they go to New England, and that was where the Quagmire game hits Zach Wilson. They lose 10-3. He gets put into timeout. I wouldn't even say he was benched. He was put into timeout.
Oh, hey, he was holding a clipboard and street clothes. Yeah,
right. And then came the Chicago game, 31-10.
Now it's Mike White.
And then they lost every game after that.
And they were right in that Minnesota game, which was the game right after that in Minneapolis.
And they were in the Detroit game after that too, when they played at home against Detroit.
Right.
But Wilson played in that Detroit game and threw for 317 yards. He actually came back in late.
Because Mike White got his ribs broken in Buffalo by Matt Milano, right?
Right. So Zach actually got back in against Detroit, threw for 317. Then they lost to Jacksonville 19-3. He only threw for 92 yards. And then White came back in against Seattle, and then Flacco finished the season. I mean,
That's what we're going to get again. I mean, we're going to be looking back next year. Hopefully Aaron Rodgers is still wanting to play, and he'll be back. We're going to be looking at this year going, and then they sat Zach down, and then Tim Boyle played a game, and then he got hurt, and Siemian came in, and then Wilson had another shot. It's just going to be, the round and round we go on the hamster wheel of turds. Right?
Okay.
That's what it is.
All right.
Round and round we go.
I guess round and round we do go, yes.
I mean, think about it. How is this year going to be any different?
Doesn't feel that way, that's for sure. It feels very eerily similar to last year, except for the fact that you had the legitimate starting quarterback and a Hall of Fame candidate, supposedly starting the season as the quarterback, and he was the guy that everybody on the sideline would have respected, everybody in the huddle would have respected, everybody in the meetings would have respected. Instead of calling in from a hospital bed or a therapy table or whatever else and talking about sideline etiquette and stop screaming at each other. When you're 3,000 miles away, it's easy to say that, but when you're not here, the team is basically missing its most important ingredient, and that was the quarterback who everybody admired, respected, and believed in. And now he is seeing from his therapy situation out in California what we have seen for 2 years, 3 years here now.
Oh, yeah, of course.
But now he's reacting to it differently because he has to, because he's still attached to the team. But anybody else who has not been attached, he hasn't been attached to the team for 3 years. He hasn't been attached to the team for 50 years. Hasn't been attached to the team since Joe Namath was walking the sidelines.
Yeah, I mean, and he is reacting to as if all of this is new. It's not. What he knows of the Jets is a young, really good team that went into Lambeau last year and beat him and the Green Bay Packers and all the talent that was on this roster and meeting with everybody and everybody loving him and all the stuff, rolling out the red carpet. That's what he knows of the Jets. He doesn't know this. He hasn't gone through what Iron Staten Island has gone through.
No, I mean, it also would help if he were here, but he can't be here.
Well, he said there's a chance he's at the Kansas City game, so he could watch that bloodbath up close.
Oh, maybe he's going with Taylor Swift.
Oh, God.
Could you? Oh,
no, I can't imagine.
You can't imagine him sitting in a suite with Taylor Swift.
Oh.
Could you imagine that? I mean, he did go to her concert.
It cannot happen.
And I have to say, like, given the state of the ratings when Taylor Swift was found out that she was at that game on Sunday, the ratings spiked.
Yeah, of course.
It was more women watching now because they wanted to see Taylor's new love interest.
That is
very
correct.
exciting for a lot of people here, G. You don't understand.
No, I do understand. And the fact that, trust me, I understand all too well, because this is going to be, this is shaping up to be the worst of the worst for the Jet fan. Because if she does show up to this thing and they're getting waxed and Zach Wilson is out there and he can't do anything and it's just going to be showing Taylor Swift, everybody's just going to get to a level of insanity with the Jets where I swear that they'll stop watching them like they stopped watching the Mets and Yankees in the middle of the year because they were done.
Well, I'm just
That's
saying,
how bad this could be.
I don't care about this next statement I'm going to say. I don't care. I'm just advising. I'm advising from, let's say 10,000 feet.
Okay.
And 17 years of being on this radio station and 3 years playing quarterback for the Jets. So I think I have a little credibility when I give a little bit of advice.
Yeah.
I hope Aaron Rodgers comes to the game. I hope Aaron Rodgers is vocal and involved. If in fact that he thinks he can get here, I don't know if he can, and I don't think he's coming. But if he does, whatever you do, don't be in the same suite as Taylor Swift.
No,
just don't.
Well, he's got to be. Does it have to be like up in the booth somewhere, or
I would think yes,
with a headset on with the other coaches. Now Hackett's down on the sideline now, but Aaron Rodgers got to be up there in a booth with the coaches with a headset on. He can't be hanging out with Taylor Swift for God's sake.
I mean that could be a thing. So I'm as ridiculous as that sounds. I'm just maybe there's a 1% chance of that happening. I would say don't let it happen. I would also say if that is the reason why you're coming, which I hopefully isn't, don't do it. Don't do it.
I mean, I can't imagine how angry. I mean, you saw how angry the fan base was after this past game. If Aaron Rodgers is sitting in a suite with Taylor Swift as she's rooting for the Kansas City Chiefs, I mean, that can't happen. First of all, he's not going to get here. But if that ever happens,
I don't think he's. But why did you tell me you thought that he was coming?
He mentioned it on Pat McAfee yesterday.
I don't think he can get out of it. He's not going to come until he can actually walk, I don't think.
He said there's a chance.
No,
I don't. I'm just saying what he said. He said that he's thought about it and there's a chance that he could be there on Sunday night. But
he's going to show up in a wheelchair?
I don't know, man. I have no idea. I mean, his presence should help, though. It's not going to turn Zach Wilson into a great quarterback, but it could inspire the team. It could help. Hell, I mean, they won that Week 1 game when he was there, even though he was in the back getting X-rays and everything.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, he's not on the sideline. So when he's there and he's on the sideline, everybody's going to be respectful. Everybody's going to be nobody's going to be screaming at each other. Maybe the defense could, because those guys tend to scream at each other all the time.
Sure.
But, nobody on the offense is going to be screaming at each other, simply because nobody's going to go up to Aaron Rodgers and go, look at this, it hit me. This is the crap that Zach Wilson's going through because he can't process, and it really is going to frustrate his teammates. Even as much as they say they love him, as much as they say it's all about intensity on the sideline, which it is, I get it, I've been there. But usually that crap happens when you're losing or somebody's not getting their numbers, like A.J. Brown a couple weeks ago. And then what happened this week with A.J. Brown?
Squeaky wheel spot.
Right. He got his numbers. So now all of a sudden, Garrett Wilson's dropping in the wide receiver numbers area. And how much do you end up paying Garrett Wilson 2 years from now? Well, and they're going to look at his numbers and go, well, your numbers are paltry. He's going to look at you guys and say, you guys screwed me with the quarterback.
He still did win Offensive Rookie of the Year with the mess that they had quarterbacking last year.
He's not even getting the ball now.
Yeah, I know. I mean, listen, it's a mess. It's as bad as it gets. I mean, there's no potpourri or fragrance that you can spray on this situation. It's horrible. It's horrible.
Are you hoping that Taylor Swift comes to the game?
No. Just for my Jet fan friends, they don't need that. No, I'm not hoping for it. Seriously. I mean, I know it would be entertaining for us and we could talk about another talking point. I'm looking out for my friends who are Jets fans that if that happened, they'd lose their mind. They're getting their ass kicked on national TV. Taylor Swift is there cheering for the Chiefs.
Maybe they can convince her to sing the national anthem.
Yeah, she's above that.
That would be unbelievable. That would be great.
I mean, the only way she's singing a national anthem if it's at a Super Bowl or a
you do realize
induction ceremony or something.
You do realize what is going on out there, right? I mean, with this whole thing. I mean, just the intensity and the explosion of publicity, PR, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
When it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs and Travis Kelce. You understand what's happened.
I do understand what's happening.
I mean, it is one of the biggest things that have happened in the NFL since Aaron Rodgers' trade to the Jets.
It all comes together on Sunday night. We might get Aaron Rodgers and Taylor Swift, both of them not playing in the game. I thought about yesterday, too. Imagine if you just, you woke up out of a coma yesterday and you saw Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show essentially, sitting in a hospital bed. You were like...
Was that a hospital bed or was that, some sort of therapy
I don't know what it was. It certainly wasn't a regular bed, but you're thinking, what? Where is he? What's going on here?
He's getting therapy.
Well, the Jets are 1-2. What? Huh? What's going on?
Thanks so much for watching the video.
Please like and subscribe.
And don't forget to hit the bell so you're notified when we're dropping new content.